we never know what's going to bring up those things, whether it's, that one comment that, will trigger this memory of something, but really working on just validating yourself, doing the hard work, whether it's the hard work in moving or the hard work in therapy or the hard work with those relationships, with those hard conversations we need to have. But really trying to find those people that support you and making sure you move really close to them.
Nice.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
And Jen Harris, an interior designer
who have teamed up to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim. Welcome back to another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And today we are talking about the big move. So my family and I recently moved, and we had been in our previous home almost 10 years. And so it was quite the transition. And so we're going to kind of talk about the good, the bad,
and the ugly.
And the ugly.
But the beautiful, now we're in the same space, the same area, because 10 years apart was too long.
Yes. True. One thing, just to set this up. So my mother has a quote that she uses about moving. She's like, where next to someone dying, moving is the next worst thing to ever happen in your life.
Oh.
So
it can be pretty rough. It can be really rough, yes.
Pretty stressful, right? It's usually not fun. It never goes as planned, ever. Like something always gets thrown in. Mm-hmm. Little bump in the road.
As a child, I moved quite a bit, but I wasn't responsible for the moving process. I was just like, went along with it. Yeah, cool. Like I get my toys out again, my clothes are there again. But as an adult, I continued to move quite a bit because that's what I was comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But I will say, it is not my favorite. It's really a lot of work, and it can be the good, but there's usually more bad and ugly.
Yes. Yes. I mean, just having to go to the DMV alone to redo your driver's license, right?
Right.
It's a whole day's worth of things. But anyways, to get into our moves specifically. So, okay, for those of you who have read the book or have listened to the podcast, you know I'm a very sentimental person. I have a hard time letting go. I might use it one day. It's for my collection. I'm sentimental about it. It reminds me of someone who's passed away. So I have had a hard time letting go. And the past 10 years, I have had a lovely 3-car garage where I was able to store said memories and what I might needs, away in the garage. And through the years, I have been purging and getting rid of and going through, but I knew like for this upcoming move, it was going to have to be another big push. And, with writing the book, that took some time, right? And so with the book, I was journaling about my stuff. I was starting to get rid of things. That momentum was gaining. And now this move came. So I'm like, this is going to be another really big push to get rid of stuff. So with that goal in mind of wanting to reframe the new house and our things in it and how it was going to look with my children being a little bit older and they're going to have more of a say in what they want in their spaces, and making sure that our home is a little bit more minimalistic. My husband likes more minimalism because he wants to be able to quickly see what's on counters, to be able to find his items. My eldest son has ADHD and has made comments like when the countertop is clean, he's like, "Did you remodel the kitchen?" It's like, no, the counter's just cluttered. Yeah, it's just an open space. So, those are things that will make my life easier because their life will be easier. So, where my threshold for visual clutter is much higher than theirs. So, I've really pushed this goal to go through all my items and get rid of more. And thought it was all going well. It was. So my husband and I had set up like times for us to go through items in the garage together. I was going through things on my own. And I was kind of doing that off and on for all the spring months. And then May was kind of like a month before the move. And it was like, okay, that's when the big push is really happening every weekend. We're going to start really going through stuff, kick it into high gear, right? And so I ended up getting rid of about 6 carloads of items, 6 bookcases, a treadmill, a fridge, other furniture, a big mirror, tons of stuff. I thought I was doing great.
It sounds like you're doing great.
So I was so proud. Like, there's always still more to get rid of, but I was like, I've made a huge dent. Like, I'm feeling good. We also found out like a month beforehand. So I had planned a road trip with a friend of mine, and we were going to be coming back basically the day before the move. We knew that was going to be happening. She was like, I'll help you. We'll kind of get it all ready and in order. So when we get back, it'll be smooth sailing. Then my husband had a work trip planned all of a sudden the week of the move. And so he was going to be gone the whole time. So there was no backup if we got in late or had something happen. And then my friend ended up, her daughter, actually all 3 of her kids got sick just one week after another the last 3 weeks of school. And so she wasn't able to help out as much as she wanted to. But even with all that, we were able to get rid of that much stuff, right? It's a lot.
That's just a lot.
It's a lot of, I am really helping others by all the donations I've made. But there was stuff like, I got rid of like a whole bin of Barbie stuff that like I, had just sitting in the garage. And one of our friends, their son is really into like moms and babies, and he likes animals that have the mom and the baby together. And plays with them. So I found like this old bear that's a mom like velcroed with the baby, and was able to give it to him, and like he loves it. And so stuff like that we were able to pass on to friends and family, and that felt really good. And then so we get back late from our road trip, and then I was up to like 3 a.m. just trying to get everything
because your move
settled.
is the next day.
The move is the next day. The Packers were coming, and the whole thing was the
Packers. Just thinking of the story.
I know. It's a little long-winded, but so Packers were coming one day, and then they were loading the truck the next day. So they were going to be there 2 days, and so the Packers come the next day, and like I'm feeling good. There's no sofa for them to move. There's not lots of big furniture, and we're going through. And the guy gets in the garage where a lot of the stuff is, and he's just like, I thought you were getting rid of stuff. And I was just like, total, like, gut punch. Like,
you got rid of 6 carloads of
I
things,
know.
a couch, you were donating toys.
I know. So then, like, I go into my, like, childhood psyche, like, of, like, childhood trauma stuff, and I'm just like, it's never good enough. I'm not good enough. No matter what I do, and so I'm, like, on the verge of tears with, like, this stranger who I've never met, and I'm just like, I did get rid of stuff.
You did do well. You did do well. And it's so surprising. That little comment that he's probably just joking around.
Probably, yeah.
Really can have such a big impact, especially with all the stress of I thought I was going to have more help.
Yes,
and
lack of sleep.
And, didn't have sleep, and I'm trying to fit all this stuff in at the end of our time in this city.
Because my husband and I, because we have like someone come beforehand to like evaluate the space to see how big of a truck you'll need, right? And so I was like, I'm planning on, like, in the garage, getting rid of, like, 25% of the stuff in here. And it was like the woman could barely walk in there because we had just thrown stuff out there as we were getting ready to move. And, like, there were clear walkways. Like, everything was organized and in bins. Like, it felt good to me. Was this
the same person who came?
It was not the same person.
There you go. They didn't see it before.
They didn't see the progress. Yeah. And so, but it was such a gut punch. And, like, my husband and I I'd called him several times before because I was like, I'm stressed out. I was like, I just feel like there's still too much stuff. And like, I told him, I was like, I feel like I'm going to be judged by the stuff I have, and people are going to think like I just have too much. And he told me, he was like, wait, so you're feeling guilty about what someone might think who you're never going to see again after this move? And I'm like, yes, rationally that makes sense. But it's still the emotional, like gut punch, right?
And so many of us, when we have our things, it's for us.
Mm-hmm.
But when other people come into our homes, whether they're, just we're hosting a party, or, somebody's helping us move, or, we're selling something and they're having to come pick it up, there is a what do they think?
Yes.
But you're getting this validation from your husband of, where you've been, how sentimental or how much stuff that we've had a hard time, releasing into the world.
Right.
And you have pathways, everything's very organized,
Yes.
so much effort.
Labeled. And it was like, that was within, the first couple minutes of meeting the main mover. And so I was just like, the whole day, I was just, kind of just, just grouchy, hangry, not in a good place. And luckily the other guys that were there were much more positive and were much more jovial, and they all had like the very playful, sarcastic relationship. So they're giving this guy grief and he's giving them grief, like, so it turned into good banter, and we ended up having a good relationship by the end. And like one of the guys was like, we were joking around, he was in my kid's playroom, and you would just hear the toys going off, and he's just in there laughing, like having a great time. And the other guys are like, get to work.
But wait, I want to know what this toy is.
He's like, this is hilarious. Yeah. So then on that box in the playroom, he wrote cool toys.
Aww.
So that was kind of fun.
So with this one comment of, I thought you're getting rid of more, and then, we finally get a relationship with them.
Yes.
I think first impression is going to be so hard. Or I want other people who may see other homes help people move, and you get this kind of comment. Mm-hmm. It can feel really judgmental.
Very. Yeah, it was very hard not to cry with all the other emotions going on. But then, so by the end, because I even asked him, I was like, well, how much of, because they brought a ginormous truck. Like, it was like the biggest, I mean, I could barely get it down the street. Is it 40 feet? It was massive.
Because they were ready to move all of this stuff.
And so I asked him, I was like, are we going to take a pool on like how full the truck is going to be? Like, let's start a bet and let's see what happens, And then he was kind of like halfway. And I'm like, halfway. I'm like, that's it, And so then at the end of day 2, after everything is loaded, like, it's all in there. It, because they do a really good job stacking all the boxes and everything.
They are professional movers. They Tetris it.
Yes. So it was probably about halfway, like with boxes and stuff all secured in. And the other half was like all of our outdoor stuff kind of just haphazardly thrown in, like bikes, some stuff here. Like, it was not like super Tetrised in because there was so much space. And so I told him, I was like, you are not going to make me feel guilty about my stuff when there's half a truck left. I was like, I got plenty of stuff I can fill that with if you really want me to. So.
And again, I think that's one of those things of, when we start a process, it can feel so overwhelming and so stressful. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of, oh, okay, I did that. Oh, look what else I did. And look what I'm doing. And you can start to see your own progress. But when somebody just comes in the door, they've never seen the 20 years before they had this move, right?
And he doesn't know all of, like, my childhood issues I've worked through of, like, insecurity and not feeling good enough and always hearing those comments from, certain people I looked up to and admired. And so he doesn't have all that back history, but it was very hard to take at 7 a.m. on
after no sleep the night before and getting in from, a road trip where you're trying to make memories with your kids. And
so all that to say, if you are in a space where you're going through your items, or if you have a family member that comes in and gets super judgy about your stuff, or it's like, why aren't you getting rid of this, or this making you feel like it's not good enough, like, how far you've come, the progress you're making. And even if it's small steps, it's still steps forward. Yeah. So just wanted to share that story with you to know it happens to all of us. We all have setbacks, and just keep going. keep working through.
Yeah,
So.
and I think so many people, you see one thing of a person, like, oh, I see they're moving things, or I see the car they drive, or I see the clothes they wear, and we have an impression of who they are, but we have no idea of their story. And so I think it's really tough whenever, you're so vulnerable of trusting other people with all of your belongings, things that have made you who you are, things you've depended on and collected throughout the years. But I'm really glad to hear you saying, hey, look what all of the stuff I've done. We have extra space. Don't give me a hard time. I know all of the work I put in.
Yes. And then I told the other two guys too. I was like, hey, I really appreciate your positivity, because I was feeling really down, and like,
Aww.
and they were like, no, you did great. Like, it's all good. So, and I get it. Like, I know my house isn't the worst. I know it's not the best. Like, there's a whole spectrum, right? But I put that extra pressure on myself, you know, and that extra judgment. And so just not wanting to be judged just because I know that's something I've struggled with.
Well, and I think so many of us are like, that comparison, whether, maybe it's not comparison to everything, but, how do they do that? Or how do they cook that? Or, what do they think about me whenever I say this? We're all humans. We're all imperfect. And there's no right and wrong unless it's harming yourself or others, right? But, it's really great that you've, found a voice and saying, I appreciate you guys. And I know that I've done so much work. And when it comes to other people and their opinions, we really do have to come to a place of, I know my worth. I know my work. And really trying to, we call it putting on our emotional life vest, buckling up and trusting in ourselves, and sometimes
jumping in,
deflecting some of those things and validating with other supportive people, whether it's your partner or your friend or your family members who are more of that positive encouragement to you. But moving's hard, and it does bring up so much. It brings up so much. So,
and even my neighbor, like I was talking to her after, she was like, they brought a huge truck, and like we were talking about, I was like, I know, and I was and I was telling her that he was giving me a hard time about stuff, and she was like, you got rid of so much. She's like, every time, like, there was a car leaving your house, like, almost every day with stuff. And she's like, I saw you get rid of a ton.
That's a supportive neighbor.
Yes.
Thank you, neighbor.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, whew. I feel validated. Oh.
Well, and again, we never know what's going to bring up those things, whether it's, that one comment that, will trigger this memory of something, but really working on just validating yourself, doing the hard work, whether it's the hard work in moving or the hard work in therapy or the hard work with those relationships, with those hard conversations we need to have. But really trying to find those people that support you and making sure you move really close to them.
Nice.
But if you have more questions or comments for us, let us know below. And if you want more information about the 7-step guide to reframe your relationship with your belongings so you can reclaim your personal space and your peace of mind, check out our book. It's really great.
Yeah, it's a total process. I mean, I walk you through my whole process in the book and how I started just by journaling and looking at the generational patterns within my own family and really reflecting on the reasons why I hold on to things. And I would not classify myself as a hoarder by any means. It was just I put a lot of emotional ties and values on things that I don't need to. And so it's looking at my process as well as walking through clients through their processes as they go through, and the psychological reasons why we do the things we do.
Yeah, and again, every person is different, and every, collection we have, every item you have, the book is not to say this is the way to do it, but these are the things to think about. These are the steps that help you take your own process, and it's self-led so that you can find a little bit more peace of mind and decide, what do I do with this stuff? Do I keep it? Do I display it? Do I treasure it? Do I donate it? Do I give it away to someone else who may love it and use it? And a move is a great place to really start unpacking all of that. It's a hard place, but
it's
a really
good
good place
motivator.
to start.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Yes. So hopefully my story will help you get through your emotional life vest in these hard situations. So.
Yes. We look forward to hearing from you, and follow us on social media. Reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to us with Reframe and Reclaim at our podcast. If you are interested in more information about our book, you can find our book at any online retailer. You can also find us at reframe-reclaim.com.